Welcome to Daylight with Greg Day, a program designed to shed light on all the issues affecting our city and our surrounding community. This is episode 2. I just finished filming episode 1 of my new efforts to bring you information about what's going on in Carlsbad and our surrounding communities. The very first episode was a review of the city council meeting that took place on 19 November of 2024. And this episode is going to focus on one of the discussions, the airport. So before I get into any of this, I need to put out a disclaimer. So I am an airline pilot for a major carrier. I'm not going to say who that carrier is, but my disclaimer is that I am just a pilot for them. I have no decision-making capability with the airline. I have no influence on their routes, where they would like to have service, where they want to pull out of service. I can barely get my family on a flight for free. So none of this is being driven by any of that, absolutely whatsoever. In fact, rather than me having some sort of biased interest, I actually bring a different level of understanding to the problem, as opposed to just somebody who is trying to do research to find out about terms and FAA terminology and rules and regulations. I actually have experience with that as a pilot, flying in and out of airports that deal with similar issues that we're going to talk about. The capabilities of aircraft, etc. So that's my disclaimer. All right, so I'm talking about the Palomar Airport, McClellan Airport, here in Carlsbad. Right off the bat, Carlsbad is a super unique situation with the city. I'm sorry, with the county. Counties are usually the ones that manage and own and are responsible for everything that takes place with an airport. Now, Palomar is managed and operated by the County of San Diego, but there's a special rule, essentially, where the city of Carlsbad has final say on anything regarding airport expansion. I don't know how they actually got this, but that's huge. Most cities do not have that kind of influence, especially cities of this size. So that's a really impressive feat that they were able to secure. So the meeting, the agenda item was essentially not to change any rules or to add anything, but to make this much more of a prominent, a more well-known item in the city of Carlsbad. Essentially, we don't want anyone ever forgetting that, hey, we're the ones in charge of final say with anything development-wise. And don't be afraid if the county comes in saying, hey, we're going to make the airport bigger, the runway longer, or anything like that, because we're the ones who actually get the say. I am in favor of that. To be clear, I am very much in favor of us having local control. On the campaign trail, I complained over and over again about the mandates for housing. I want us to be able to decide how our city grows, how much it grows, how much it doesn't grow, where it grows, all of that. And so I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't support this effort at the airport. So good job that whoever made this happen in the first place. Good job refocusing that it's our final say. We're the ones who get to decide. Okay, so why am I making this video, though? Not just to say wonderful. I want to counter some narrative. The argument about this has really been focused on those who don't want anything to happen with the airport. And I'm not necessarily on board with that mindset. For those who don't know, in February of next year, American Airlines is going to be starting a commuter route from Palomar to Phoenix. And I think there's a lot of hoopla about people are saying this airport was only supposed to be for general aviation. It's not supposed to be a commercial airport, and all of that stuff. So let's break that down and let's talk about that. First, you hear the terms general aviation, and that people are literally saying that's all this airport was supposed to be for. General aviation in the world of FAA, to simplify it, is anything, any type of flying that isn't commercial, meaning passenger flights, or military. So that's why clearly Miramar and Camp Pendleton are not general aviation airports. And San Diego Airport itself, Lindbergh Field, is a mix of both commercial and general aviation, because any commuter flight, not a commuter flight, a corporate jet, that is considered general aviation. That is not a passenger airplane, even though it can carry quite a few people. So what I'm trying to defeat is the idea that general aviation is just a 4 or 2 seat Cessna or equivalent little helicopter that you see flying up and down the beach. It includes big corporate jets like Gulfstreams and Globals, which can fly 18 people on them. And they can go, those are big aircraft that can go very, very far. They're not a 737, but they are essentially the size of commuter aircraft. And they are flying in and out of there consistently. Again, this goes into the idea that the airport was just going to be this quiet, or a field for just quiet aircraft. That's not true. That wasn't factoring in development of technology with jet engines and all that stuff. In other words, that's a misunderstood concept, which is turned into being misleading. Okay, so noise. Right now, and I get it. I flew fighter jets out of Miramar, and when an F-18 was taking off, everybody's conversation had to stop. I was an instructor there for 7 years, and even we would make jokes about, wow, we are loud. So I get it. Aircraft make noise. Jets make noise. Fighters make the most amount of noise, by the way. But so the airport has tried to get noise abatement programs. These are ways of reducing, they create routes that you have to fly on in order to, we know where the noise is going to be. They could even be maneuvers designed to climb very quickly and then level off for a bit with your engines throttled back. This is something that was going on at John Wayne up in Orange County for quite a bit. So those are called noise abatement procedures. Carlsbad has never been able to get those as mandatory, whereas they were something that was enforceable. So we do have voluntary noise abatement procedures. I don't have any problem with us posting, this is how we would like you to fly. There have been efforts to try and make this a big, like we're going to send you an email or a letter of caution when you don't, and that's like giving somebody a parking ticket for parking somewhere where they're allowed to park. You just don't want them to park there. To me, that's a waste of time. The other issue with that was ATC, the air traffic controllers. If you are being directed under positive control by them, they don't have to follow those noise abatement procedures. So pilots may be told to do something that would be a violation of that voluntary noise abatement procedure because they were told to do it. And they are required to follow those instructions depending on the type of rules that they're following. Bigger planes, the ones that make the noise, are the ones who are going to be following what we call instrument flight rules. And those guys, they're going to be told what to do by the controllers anyway. So it turns into a moot point if ATC is telling them to do something that violates our noise abatement procedures, why do we even have it in the first place? However, the larger an aircraft is and the busier your airport becomes, the more likely you are to be able to get enforceable noise abatement procedures. Or you can create what they call SIDs, or standard instrument departures. Those things you can have them for a bunch of reasons, maybe flow of traffic, maybe there's some sort of terrain that you're trying to avoid, but also for noise abatement considerations. So SIDs are mandatory if you are assigned them, and so these are things that happen they're things that they've done at John Wayne that we could be doing here. So if the only concern is airport noise, there are other ways of dealing with this. The other question is commercial aviation new, or were we really only supposed to be some sort of general aviation, go learn to fly type airport? A simple Wikipedia will show that commercial aviation dates back to 1977 and goes pretty much major commercial flying goes up to 2015, when both United and American Airlines ended their services. At the height, I believe it was 1995, at the height, both these carriers were combining for 12 daily flights up to Los Angeles International, LAX. That's a lot. Now, granted, those flights were limited to what they call turboprop aircraft, so it's a jet engine spinning a propeller, so it is quieter. You get a different type of noise, but it's not the same rumble that a jet engine will create. That was because they were the only things that could take off and land on the runway provided. But now we have more capable jet aircraft that are able to take off and land on the size runway that we're talking about. And that is really why this is becoming an issue, because now we can expand service. The county would like to expand the airport in order to make that even easier. Carlsbad is having pushback, and that's fine. This definitely is something that should be discussed. And if the community actually wants Palomar to turn into again what it used to be of a commuter airport, so I'm all about having that local control. That's the issue that we're seeing. And though I'm very happy that we have the local control, the people who really wanted the local control, they don't want, well, I don't want to speak for them. I'm sure maybe some of them are open to different types of discussion. I don't know exactly, but it seems to be clear that the narrative is focused on they don't want to have commercial aviation out of there. I think that maybe we should talk about that. And so here are my thoughts. In 1995, the population of Carlsbad was 70,000 people. Now we're over 113,000 people. That's an increase of over 60%. In 1995, those turboprop aircraft I were talking about, they were only flying 18 passengers. Now, what American wants to start service is an Embraer 175, and it's even limited in its seating to 50 to 56 passengers. That's way over double the capacity increase that we were comparing to. That means you don't need 12 daily flights. Okay? So it really does reduce the amount. I also talked earlier about when bigger airplanes start flying out of somewhere, you have a better chance of getting mandatory noise abatement procedures. So this turns into a win-win type scenario where we are adding service, we're adding convenience to people in not just Carlsbad but our region. You are creating a gateway directly into our portion of the county, Let's not forget we have Legoland and we rely on tourism, right? But we also have a major business market here as well. They benefit from this type of travel. So there are huge benefits to having an expanded airport and addressing some of those concerns and maybe getting answers to those concerns like noise abatement procedures at the same time. The other thing that I think to keep in mind is the future of aviation is changing radically. And what I mean by that is there are already orders in for, I know at least United is trying to order electric engine aircraft, not to fly you to London, but to fly you exactly this type of flying from Palomar directly up to LAX or down to, you could even do shorter flights down to San Diego. So there are huge benefits, there are huge opportunities coming. And if we are already established as a commuter airport, then it's the airlines themselves are going to naturally flow that kind of thing in for us, where we get that economic benefit with the reduction of all the concerns of noise and all that stuff, because these are going to be way quieter in aircraft. And so it's kind of like getting your foot in the door and not being overlooked or being irrelevant. The other thing too is San Diego is the drone capital of the world. Again, if you are creating an incentive for a market, that industry could be coming more and more to this county alone, and that would be a big increase in jobs and an improvement to the economy. Of course, that's, who knows if that stuff actually happens or not, but it certainly isn't going to happen if you act like the airport is, we don't do commercial flying. So the conclusions, again, I very much agree that Carlsbad asserting its authority and saying we have the final say. I am all for that, and good on the council for taking those steps. California is continuously trying to take more and more authority away from the local level. We have to fight that every place we possibly can. But airports, they play a significant role in local economies, a very significant role. They're used as a road to traffic. I'm sorry, as our traffic on our roads continues to get worse, there is clearly no solution coming for that on the rail via train. Carlsbad really could benefit from turning our airport back into a commuter airport. So I like the control. I just don't want the discussion to be that commercial flying out of the airport is a total bad thing. Let's move on with that, and let's have that discussion about where we go next. As long as we understand that we are in the driver's seat, but let's not just act like, oh, that's it. Nothing happens at Palomar. I know this is a controversial opinion to some, but it's not a ridiculous one, and it is certainly one worth having. So thanks for watching. Take this information, talk about it with your friends, and I'll see you next time.